All right, guys, we are looking at life during the Great Depression. So, welcome to Virtual Learning Week 2. I hope you are all doing very well and staying safe. All right, so kind of the cool thing that we get to look at this as that life during the Great Depression is kind of looking very similar to life that we're living in today, dealing with the coronavirus. All right, so some things that you need to know. Okay, so politically, President Hoover is going to be the president at the start of the Great Depression. Okay, super important to know about President Hoover. Okay, and if you're jotting down your notes, you need to highlight this term, this idea of rugged individualism. Okay, so we talk about someone who's rugged, they're very tough, and individualism, just like it sounds, it's by yourself. So what he believes is that it's the responsibility of the people, not the government, to pull themselves out of the Great Depression. Okay? So think about putting this in terms of today's society, like Trump's stimulus package that would offer money to families. President Hoover would be against this. It's up to the people to work their way out of the Great Depression. Okay? So again, remember, laissez-faire government. They're going to be hands off, and the people just have to basically work their way up and work their way out of the Great Depression. Okay? So at this point, under Hoover's presidency, the federal government is offering no help to the people. Okay, so we've talked about this a little bit. This is not something that I would necessarily have you write down. This is just some things to think about. We talked about a little bit of this last week, and some of this are just kind of the consequences of that. Okay, so remember, you have to understand the Great Depression is hitting the farmers and it's hitting the people in the cities with industry. Okay, so two different kind of realms in the economy, and both are being hit hard. Prices of crops are going down, overproduction. And again, if they're not making any money, farm is being foreclosed on. The bank takes ownership back. They become homeless. People can't afford luxuries. Remember, they lost all of their money. Banks are closing down. They can't afford those things that are going to boost the economy. So factories, again, don't need to be producing those things. Factories, business shut down, people lose their jobs. So again, remember that cycle that we talked about. There's no money pumping into the economy to help these people. So people aren't paying taxes. So things that run on taxes, like schools, have to be shut down. And then again, like we talked about with the farmers and people who are losing their jobs, or if they're getting foreclosed on or they can't pay their rent, a lot of people are going to become homeless at this time, and they live in shanties. So think about shacks or houses built out of anything that you could possibly think of. And we'll actually look at a couple of those in a little bit. Okay, so you can kind of see the rate of unemployment. So due to this idea of low demand, already overproduced goods, it's really hard to find a job at this time period in America. But again, if you don't have a job to earn money, you can't put money into the economy. So no money is really flowing through the economy at this point, and it's making it really difficult to succeed at this idea of rugged individualism like Hoover wanted. Okay, so here are several different pictures from life during the Great Depression. Okay, this is men who are literally standing in line for work. You see them competing down in this picture for jobs, and again, you kind of get picked at random. A woman living on a farm with their two children during the Great Depression, and then you also see lines for like immediate aid, like bread lines and soup lines, to make sure people have food literally just for that day. Okay, so similar to today's society, with so many businesses shutting down, you can wait in unemployment lines to get kind of temporary aid, help to pay your bills. But again, this is going to be a very small amount. You cannot live just on this. Again, like we talked about, extremely high rates of unemployment. And we're going to see at first the depression is going to impact major cities. Where there's a lot of people, there's going to be a lot of job competition. So lots of people are competing for a few amount of jobs. Okay, so this is what I was talking about earlier. Literally, people would wait in line with their family or send one member out just to get kind of free bread, just to have some kind of sustenance, some type of nutrition to sustain through the day. Okay, and when they could not find a job in the city, some families took their people and kind of head out west in search of jobs. We saw a lot of people, which we'll talk about, In the next couple of days, a lot of people head to California. But again, they had to move out of the cities because there were no jobs to be found. Okay, so a few years into that Great Depression, unemployment reaching 25%. So think about 1 in 4 people had no source of income. So that's where we get this term hobos, people without jobs and are homeless. And then again, we talked about this term foreclosure. If you already know what it is, you don't necessarily have to define it. But this is what we talked about earlier with the farmers or renters losing their home. So again, if you can't pay your mortgage, that loan that you took out on your house, or you can't pay your rent, the bank literally takes back the house. Okay? So again, when we talk about Herbert Hoover, not very popular for his idea of rugged individualism. Okay. So again, the federal government is not offering any immediate aid. And instead, the Smoot-Hawley tariff is passed. Okay, so he does this with really good intentions. Remember, high tariff, so we're taxing imported goods because we want people to buy American goods. Okay, remember, we've talked about this before, that when we pass a tax on other countries, what do those other countries do? They are going to retaliate and pass the tax back on us. Okay, so it actually made it worse because now not only do people in the United States not have money to buy our goods, but now people from other countries are not willing to buy the higher tax on American goods. Okay, so this kind of backfires on Hoover, and it actually makes the economy much worse. So this makes Hoover look bad. So the poor guy, he gets dealt this bad hand at being president at the start of the Great Depression. You know, he wants people to pull themselves out of it. He tries to stimulate this economy with this tariff. It backfires. People are upset with Hoover. Okay, so again, with Hoover's bad reputation, you see this idea. These are the shanties that we're talking about. Again, any and everything. So this broken down car gets turned into a house. Any scrap wood gets turned into a house. Okay, any kind of cloth like material. People are living whatever they could. And this gets nicknamed Hooverville. Now, it's not named after him to honor him. They're kind of making fun of him, like, oh, these are the Hoovervilles because Herbert Hoover doesn't want to help the people during the Depression. Okay, so this is a whole shanty town. See, it's directly outside of the cities in kind of this vacant lot. And you see, again, kind of little shacks put together, anything people could come up to live in. Again, here's another example. People making fun of Hoover. Hard times are still hoovering over us. Okay, I'll stop there today and I'll go over the effects of the Great Depression tomorrow.